You get home after a long day. Your feet hurt. You do not want to cook. You open the freezer, pull out a tray, punch a few buttons on the microwave, and 6 minutes later, you have a plate in front of you. No pots, no pans, no mess. That is the promise frozen dinners have been making for decades, and millions of Americans still believe in it. Here is the problem. That promise does not always deliver what your body actually needs, what your grocery budget deserves, or what the label seems to be selling you. Some of the biggest names in frozen dinners have quietly changed their recipes, cut corners on ingredients, loaded up on sodium, or just never lived up to the reputation you remember from 10 years ago. And the worst part is, you would not know it from the colorful box on the front. That is exactly what this video is for. By the time we are done, you will know which 11 frozen dinner brands deserve a second look before you put them in your cart, and which 5 choices are smarter places to put your money instead. We will also walk through a simple label checklist you can use at the store this week, so you never have to wonder whether you made the right call at the freezer aisle. Let us start with the ones that get the most shelf space, but may not deserve it. Number 1 on the avoid list is Michelina's. This brand has been around a long time, and it sits near the bottom of the frozen dinner section almost everywhere you shop. The price is almost always low, which makes it tempting when you are trying to stretch a grocery budget. But low price and low quality often go together here. Shoppers and food reviewers have consistently reported problems with texture, taste, and consistency. Some products taste like they were made years ago and just reheated. The ingredient lists include a lot of modified food starch, autolyzed yeast extract, and other additives that are doing more work to make the product seem acceptable than they are to feed you well. If you are buying Michelina's because it is cheap, that math only works if you are actually going to eat it. When the taste and texture are this far off from what a meal should be, you are mostly paying for packaging and microwave time. There are better budget options further down this list. Number 2 is DiGiorno. Now, DiGiorno is mostly known for pizza, but they have a line of frozen pastas and skillet meals that get picked up by people who already trust the brand name. That trust is worth examining. DiGiorno's frozen pasta meals tend to rely heavily on cheese and sauce to cover up the fact that the pasta itself is often overcooked and the portions are smaller than you would expect for the price. The sodium content in some of these meals pushes past 800 milligrams per serving, which is a real concern if you are watching your blood pressure or just trying to eat like an adult who cares about their health. The front of the box might show melted cheese and steam rising from a bowl, but what you actually get is a heavily processed meal that is doing a lot of heavy lifting with salt and fat. If you want pasta from the freezer section, there are better options. If you want DiGiorno pizza specifically, that is a different conversation, but their non-pizza frozen meals are not where that brand shines. Number 3 is Kid Cuisine, and yes, I know some adults eat these too, and that is part of the concern. Kid Cuisine has been a staple in frozen food aisles for parents looking for something quick to feed their kids. The problem is that the brand underwent a significant reformulation not long ago, and not in a direction that benefits your children. The older versions had simpler ingredient lists. The current versions lean heavily on breaded processed proteins, corn syrup in the sauce components, and artificial colors in some of the side items. Nutritionists and pediatric feeding specialists have pointed out that these meals often contain more sodium than a child needs in a single sitting, and the protein quality is low because it comes from reformed chicken or fish patties rather than whole cuts. If you have been buying Kid Cuisine for years because your kids like the packaging and the taste, it is worth knowing what is actually inside those little trays. The convenience is real, but the trade-off in ingredients is not what most parents think they are getting. Number 4 is Marie Callender's Frozen Meals. Marie Callender's has a strong reputation from their restaurant-style pot pies and comfort food line, but that reputation was built on fresh and frozen baked goods, not on their full line of frozen dinners. Some of their meal products carry the Marie Callender's name and look like premium comfort food on the box, but the actual nutritional profile tells a different story. Sodium levels in some servings climb above 1,000 milligrams. Portion sizes have been a recurring complaint, with many consumers noting that the bowls look bigger than the actual food inside. The brand has also changed ownership a couple of times over the years, and quality control has not been consistent across all product lines. If you are buying Marie Callender's because you remember their pot pies being rich and satisfying, that reputation does not automatically extend to their entire frozen dinner catalog. Check the nutrition facts before you assume the brand is delivering what the box promises. Number 5 is Amy's Kitchen. This one surprises some people because Amy's has a strong reputation in the natural and organic frozen food space. But reputation and product line do not always line up perfectly. Amy's makes a wide range of frozen meals, and not all of them are equal. Some of their burritos and pocket meals contain sodium levels that rival the worst offenders in conventional frozen dinners. Others have ingredient lists that include maltodextrin and other fillers that work against the clean label image the brand trades on. The issue here is not that Amy's is a bad brand overall. It is that the brand is not an automatic pass just because it has the word organic on the box. You still have to read the label. Some Amy's products are genuinely clean and well made. Others are riding the brand reputation without delivering the ingredient quality that health-conscious shoppers are actually looking for. That is why Amy's lands on this list, even though you will also see it mentioned in the Better Choices section later. Context and specific product line matter. Number 6 is Stouffer's. Stouffer's has been one of the most recognizable names in frozen dinners for generations. The brand built its reputation on hearty, filling meals with generous portions of cheese and pasta. But the Stouffer's of today is not the Stouffer's your parents remember. Over the years, and particularly after ownership changes within the Nestlé portfolio, several longtime fans have noticed a shift in taste, texture, and portion size. Some products that used to feel like a real meal now feel like a heavier, saltier version of what they once were. Sodium content across the Stouffer's line tends to run high, and some of the classic recipes have quietly added ingredients that were not there before. That does not mean every Stouffer's product is bad. It means you should not buy them based on brand name alone. Look at the specific nutrition facts and ingredient list for whatever you are considering, because the reputation is doing more work than the product itself in some cases. Number 7 is Hot Pockets. Hot Pockets have been a staple of dorm rooms and late-night kitchens for decades. They are cheap, they are fast, and they come in a wide variety of flavors that feel like options. But if you have looked at a Hot Pockets label recently, you already know this belongs on the avoid list. Sodium levels in some Hot Pockets varieties run well over 700 milligrams per serving, and that is before you add anything else to your meal. The ingredient list is long enough that it takes up most of the back of the package, and it includes preservatives like BHA and BHT that have been subject to ongoing regulatory review for their long-term safety. There was a significant Hot Pockets recall back in 2016 due to potential foreign material contamination, which is the kind of event that suggests quality control problems in the manufacturing process. Beyond the safety concern, the product itself is ultra-processed and designed for shelf stability rather than nutrition. Hot Pockets are one of those products where the price and the convenience are real, but the trade-off in what you are actually putting in your body is steep enough that most health-conscious shoppers choose to pass. Number 8 is TGI Fridays Frozen Meals. TGI Fridays is a restaurant chain known for appetizers and bar food. When they put their name on a frozen dinner line, they are relying on the recognition of the brand to sell product. The problem is that the quality in the frozen aisle does not match what you might expect from a restaurant with that name. TGI Fridays frozen meals tend to charge a premium price compared to other frozen dinners, but the portions are not noticeably larger and the ingredient quality is not noticeably better. Some of the meals lean heavily on sauces and sodium to create the impression of restaurant flavor, which means you are paying restaurant prices for a product that is essentially the same ultra-processed frozen meal as the cheaper options. If you want a TGI Fridays experience, it makes more sense to go to the actual restaurant or at least understand that the frozen version is not bringing much to the table beyond the brand name on the box. Number 9 is Bird's Eye Voila. Bird's Eye makes some genuinely decent frozen vegetables, and that reputation probably carries over to their meal kits in your mind. Bird's Eye Voila is their full meal line that promises restaurant-quality dinner in 15 minutes. The marketing sounds good. The reality is more complicated. Consumer reviews and nutrition analysis have consistently flagged Bird's Eye Voila meals for high sodium content, with some varieties pushing past 900 milligrams per serving. The vegetables in these meals are often pre-cooked and frozen, which means they arrive at your plate with a softer, less fresh texture than you might expect. The chicken or protein components tend to be formed or processed rather than whole cuts, which affects both taste and nutritional quality. If you are buying Bird's Eye Voila because you trust Bird's Eye with your frozen vegetables, that trust is not necessarily earned by the meal kit line. They are two different product categories with two different quality standards. Number 10 is Great Value Frozen Dinners from Walmart. Store-brand frozen dinners are often picked up because they cost less, and people assume they are basically the same as the name brands. Great Value is Walmart's house brand, and it covers a wide range of products, including frozen dinners. The quality of Great Value frozen meals is inconsistent. Some are acceptable. Others have been the subject of consumer complaints about texture, taste, and ingredient quality. Beyond the product-level concerns, there have been documented cases where Walmart's food supply chain has faced FDA scrutiny, and Great Value products have been caught up in recall notices alongside other products from the same manufacturing facilities. That does not mean every Great Value frozen dinner is a problem, but it does mean that buying the cheapest option in the freezer aisle is not automatically a smart budget move. If the quality is poor enough that you do not finish the meal, you have wasted the money regardless of how low the price was at the register. Number 11 is Trader Joe's Frozen Meals. Trader Joe's has a fiercely loyal customer base, and with good reason. Many of their products are excellent. But loyalty should not replace evaluation, and Trader Joe's frozen dinner selection is a place where that lesson applies. Some of their frozen meals and bowls contain artificial dyes, preservatives, and ingredient combinations that the more health-conscious Trader Joe's shopper would not expect from a brand they trust. The problem is inconsistency. Trader Joe's rotates products frequently, sources from multiple suppliers, and does not always maintain the same ingredient standards across their frozen dinner catalog. Some products are genuinely clean and well-made. Others contain maltodextrin, artificial colors, or highly processed protein sources that belong on the avoid list rather than in your cart. Without a consistent standard across the product line, Trader Joe's frozen meals require the same careful label reading as any other brand. The relaxed, friendly store atmosphere can make you lower your guard, but the label does not lie. Before we move to the better choices, I want to pause for a moment. If you have been watching this far, I want to know if any of these brands have been sitting in your freezer right now. Drop a number in the comments, 1 through 11. Tell me which one you have been buying most often. I read every comment, and I will be watching. Now let us talk about where your money is better spent. The first better choice is Real Good Foods. This brand was built with a specific mission, and it shows in the product. Real Good Foods focuses on using whole protein as the first ingredient, clean ingredient lists, and reasonable sodium levels. Their meals are designed for people who want to eat better without spending hours cooking. The chicken dishes use whole cuts rather than formed or processed protein. The ingredient lists are short enough that you can actually read them and know what you are eating. Sodium levels are managed without sacrificing flavor. Real Good Foods is not the cheapest option in the freezer aisle, but it is one of the smarter value plays when you consider what you are actually getting per dollar. If you want a frozen dinner that does not require you to feel guilty or confused about the label, this is one of the better places to start. The second better choice is Bell & Evans. Bell & Evans has built a reputation on cleaner chicken sourcing, and that reputation extends to their frozen dinner line. They use air-chilled chicken without antibiotics, and their ingredient lists tend to be shorter and cleaner than most of the competition. The brand focuses on quality sourcing rather than just shelf appeal, which means the flavor is better and the nutritional profile is more honest. Bell & Evans frozen meals are priced at a premium, but the premium reflects actual ingredient quality rather than marketing. If you are willing to spend a little more for a frozen dinner that uses whole chicken and straightforward ingredients, Bell & Evans is one of the few brands in the aisle that consistently delivers on that promise. The third better choice is Healthy Choice Power Bowls. This one is interesting because Healthy Choice as a brand has had a mixed history, but their Power Bowls line represents a genuine step in the right direction. The Power Bowls have higher protein content than most frozen dinners, typically in the 20-gram range per serving, and they incorporate whole grains and vegetables, rather than just rice and sauce. Sodium levels are still something to watch on some varieties, but the brand has made a real effort to manage this across the line. The Power Bowls are widely available at most grocery stores, including Walmart, Kroger, and Target, which makes them a practical option for people who do not have access to specialty retailers. If you want a frozen dinner that actually supports your fitness or health goals rather than working against them, the Healthy Choice Power Bowls are worth considering. The fourth better choice is Tandoor Chef. Tandoor Chef makes Indian frozen meals, and they do it with cleaner sourcing and better spice profiles than most of the competition. Many frozen Indian meals rely heavily on sodium and pre-made sauce bases to replicate restaurant flavor. Tandoor Chef takes a different approach with more authentic spice use and fewer artificial additives. The ingredient lists are not perfect, but they are noticeably cleaner than comparable products from other brands. The variety of dishes available through Tandoor Chef is also wider than most frozen ethnic food lines, which means you can actually get a diverse range of meals rather than the same 2 or 3 options. If you enjoy Indian cuisine and want to keep frozen meals in rotation, Tandoor Chef is one of the better choices available in most major grocery stores. The fifth better choice is making your own frozen meal kits from scratch. This one is not a brand, but it is the choice that gives you the most control. If you have a slow cooker, an afternoon on the weekend, and some basic containers, you can batch cook healthy frozen meals on your own terms. Choose your own protein, your own vegetables, your own seasonings, and your own sodium levels. Portion them out into individual containers, freeze them, and you have a supply of frozen dinners that cost less, taste better, and contain exactly what you want them to contain. This is especially practical for people who are managing specific dietary needs, sodium restrictions, or ingredient allergies. The upfront time investment is real, but the long-term savings in health and money are significant. And honestly, the first time you pull one of your own frozen meals out of the freezer and heat it up, you will notice the difference immediately. Now, I want to give you something you can actually use the next time you are standing in front of the frozen dinner aisle at Walmart or Kroger or wherever you shop. This is a practical checklist that takes about 30 seconds per product if you know what to look for. First, check the sodium line on the Nutrition Facts panel. You are looking for meals that stay under 600 milligrams of sodium per serving. Anything above that is contributing a significant chunk of your daily limit in a single meal. And if you are eating this 2 or 3 times a week, it adds up fast. If you have been diagnosed with high blood pressure or are watching your heart health, you may want to aim for under 500 milligrams per serving. Second, look at the ingredient list and count the ingredients. If the list runs longer than 15 items, that is a red flag. Whole food ingredients should make up the majority of what you are reading. Words you do not recognize, modified food starch, autolyzed yeast extract, maltodextrin, BHA, BHT, and artificial dyes are all signs that the product is more processed than it needs to be. You do not need to memorize every additive, but if you see more than 2 or 3 ingredients that sound like chemistry experiments, put the box back. Third, check the protein content. A frozen dinner that is meant to be a main course should deliver at least 15 grams of protein per serving. If the protein number is single digits, the meal is mostly carbohydrates and fat dressed up as a complete dinner. That is not necessarily a deal breaker, but it means you need to account for getting your protein somewhere else in your day. Fourth, look at the first ingredient listed. It should be a real food, usually a protein source like chicken, beef, fish, or beans. If the first ingredient is water, broth, rice, pasta, or a sauce base, the protein is not the centerpiece of the meal, and the marketing on the front of the box is probably doing more work than the actual recipe. Fifth, check the serving size and the number of servings per container. Some frozen dinners claim to be 2 servings when the box looks like it should be 1. If you are planning to eat the whole box and the nutrition facts are based on half a serving, you are consuming double the sodium, calories, and everything else on the label. Always check whether the nutrition information applies to the whole package or just half. Sixth, look at the price per ounce, not just the sticker price. A cheaper box might actually cost more per ounce than a slightly more expensive option with better ingredients. Doing this quick math at the shelf takes seconds and can save you money over time. This is especially true when comparing store brands to name brands, because the unit price is not always displayed prominently. Seventh, flip the box over and check the expiration date. Frozen foods do not stay good forever, and poor rotation in some store freezers means you might be buying a product that has been sitting for longer than you realize. If the date is close to expiring, you have less time to eat it before quality declines. Freshness matters even in the freezer. These 7 checks take less than a minute once you know the routine. You do not need to do this for every product you ever buy. Just build the habit of doing it for the frozen dinners in your regular rotation, and you will quickly learn which brands pass and which ones do not. Here is the bottom line on frozen dinners. They are not going away. They are not going to stop being convenient. And for many people, especially those living alone, managing a tight schedule, or dealing with health challenges that make cooking difficult, frozen dinners serve a real purpose. The goal is not to eliminate them from your life. The goal is to choose the ones that actually deliver what the label promises without filling you with sodium, additives, and disappointment. The 11 brands we covered today are not all terrible products. Some of them are fine as an occasional option, but none of them are doing enough to earn a permanent spot in your regular freezer rotation. The 5 better choices give you smarter starting points, and the checklist gives you the tools to evaluate any frozen dinner you encounter in the future, whether it is on this list or not. You are now smarter about what you are putting in your body and your budget. That is worth more than the few minutes it took to watch this video. The next time you walk past the frozen aisle, you will see those boxes differently. You will know what to look for, what to avoid, and what to grab instead. That confidence is yours to keep. If you found this video useful, share it with someone who could use a reminder before their next grocery trip. And if there is a frozen dinner brand you have questions about that we did not cover, drop it in the comments. I read everyone, and I will do my best to help you figure out whether it belongs in your cart or back on the shelf.